In the middle of nowhere, 45 kilometers from Cairo, something impossible is happening. An entire city is rising from the desert. We are not talking about a few buildings. We are talking about the largest administrative capital ever built from scratch in the 21st century. A $58 billion project. 20 times the size of Manhattan, the tallest tower in Africa, a parliament that would make the Pentagon look small. But here's the problem. It's practically empty, and Egypt can't afford it. So, why on earth is it being built? Throughout history, ambitious leaders have built capitals to mark their legacy. Peter the Great raised St. Petersburg from the swamps. Juscelino Kubitschek materialized Brasilia from the Cerrado in less than 4 years. Myanmar's generals created Naypyidaw, a ghost city that cost billions. But all these cities had one thing in common. They were born from a vision of power, control, and transformation. And that is exactly what is happening in Egypt. Cairo is a metropolis of 22 million people, chaotic, polluted, overcrowded, one of the densest cities on the planet. Traffic is a nightmare, pollution is suffocating, the infrastructure is outdated. And then, in 2015, President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi announced something extraordinary, a completely new capital, a city that did not even exist on maps, a metropolis planned for 6.5 million inhabitants, built from scratch in the eastern desert. March 2015. During an economic conference, el-Sisi stunned the world. "We need a new capital," he declared, "a modern city that symbolizes the new Egypt." Officially, the justification is technical: relieve pressure on Cairo, create administrative efficiency, attract investment, but the real motivation? Far more complex. In 2011, Tahrir Square became the epicenter of the Arab Spring. Millions of Egyptians took to the streets of Cairo. President Hosni Mubarak, after 30 years in power, fell. The historic center of Cairo turned into a symbol of popular revolution. El-Sisi came to power in 2013 after a military coup. And here is the question: how do you govern a population that overthrew a dictator in the streets of its own capital? Simple. You build a new capital, far from the people, far from protests. An administrative fortress in the middle of the desert. Let's talk numbers because they are absolutely insane. Total area, 700 square kilometers. To give you an idea, that's equivalent to nearly 20 times Manhattan, the entire municipality of São Paulo, larger than all of Singapore. Estimated cost, $58 billion US. That's more than the annual GDP of 100 countries around the world. It's 3 times the cost of the Beijing Olympics. But what really impresses is what's being built. The iconic tower, 385 meters tall, the tallest building in Africa. Imagine an 80-story building rising out of nowhere in the desert. The new parliament, with capacity for 1,200 lawmakers, it's larger than the German Reichstag, larger than the U.S. Congress, a building so massive you could fit 3 soccer fields inside it. The presidential palace, 20 times larger than the White House. Yes, you heard that right, 20 times. A pharaonic structure with an area of 1 million square meters. For comparison, the Palace of Versailles has 63,000 square meters. That is 16 times smaller. Inside, gigantic halls, endless corridors, cutting-edge technology. El-Sisi already holds official meetings here. Urban infrastructure, 21 residential districts, 25 dedicated districts, more than 10,000 kilometers of streets and avenues. The main avenue has 30 lanes. 30. For comparison, the Champs-Élysées in Paris has 8. This avenue in the middle of the Egyptian desert has 30. The monorail has been operational since 2023. It connects different areas of the city, modern, quiet, automated, and almost empty. 8 residential districts have been completed. Elegant buildings, tree-lined streets, playgrounds, gyms, everything ready. The problem? Estimated occupancy rate less than 20%. Most of the apartments are empty. On weekends, you find more security guards than visitors. And throughout the city, you see this: half-finished buildings, Idle cranes, silent construction sites, projects frozen when the money ran out. Current completion estimate, only 40% of the total project is finished, and construction has slowed dramatically. But this is not just a big city, it's a city designed to be Egypt's Dubai. At its heart, the administrative city, all ministries, embassies, courts, everything centralized, monitored, controlled. The business district, glass and steel skyscrapers that wouldn't look out of place in Shanghai or Dubai. Corporate headquarters, an international financial center. Luxury condominiums, golf courses, theme parks, a green area promised to be 8 times larger than London's Hyde Park. The vision is seductive, a smart, sustainable, efficient metropolis, a city that works, that breathes, that impresses. On paper. But to truly understand what's happening here, we need to zoom out. Egypt is not alone in this mega-project fever. Over the past 20 years, the Middle East has turned into a laboratory of architectural ambition. Dubai built artificial islands. Saudi Arabia is creating Neom, a $500 billion line city. Qatar remodeled Doha for the World Cup. For El-Sisi, this capital is much more than infrastructure. It's a political statement, a message. Message number 1. I am the modern pharaoh. The scale of the buildings deliberately evokes ancient Egypt, grandeur as an assertion of legitimacy. Message number 2. Egypt is back. After years of post-2011 instability, the new capital screams stability, order, progress. Message number 3. I control the future. By moving the government away from historic Cairo, El-Sisi geographically separates power from the masses. It's no coincidence that the new capital is easier to protect. Wide avenues make protests difficult. An isolated location complicates mobilization. Controlled access allows surveillance. But there is a gigantic elephant in the room, actually, several elephants. Egypt is broke. More than 30% of the population lives below the poverty line. Inflation has surged. The Egyptian pound has been brutally devalued. The country owes more than $160 billion US. Meanwhile, billions are being poured into the desert. Critics call it El-Sisi's pyramid, a megalomaniacal monument built at the expense of the people. And who is paying for this? Mainly China. China State Construction Engineering Corporation built the entire government district. Chinese loans finance the infrastructure. Egypt is sinking into debt with Beijing. And here is the most obvious problem. No one wants to live there. Apartments cost between $100,000 and $500,000, astronomical figures for ordinary Egyptians. The average salary in Egypt? $200 per month. The corporate offices, empty. The luxury shops, closed. The restaurants, no customers. David Sims, Cairo urban planning expert. It's an expensive fantasy divorced from Egyptian reality. The IMF warned mega projects are draining resources from essential areas. While the new capital has palaces, hospitals in Cairo lack basic medicine. While 30-lane avenues shine empty, schools in the countryside are collapsing. And there's more. Many public servants were forced to move. Entire families compelled to leave their homes in Cairo, their neighborhoods, their lives, 90 minutes away, to apartments they can barely afford. So, what is the future of the $58 billion capital? Scenario 1. Against all odds, it works. Private companies invest. The Egyptian middle class grows. Expats arrive. In 20 years, it becomes a vibrant metropolis. El-Sisi is remembered as a visionary who bet on the future. Scenario 2. It becomes the largest ghost city in the world. Egypt cannot pay the debt. Construction is abandoned. Billions are wasted. The country faces default. El-Sisi is remembered as a megalomaniac who ruined the economy. Scenario 3. The most likely. Something in between. The government operates from there because it was forced to. Some state-owned companies move in. Diplomats live in isolated compounds. But the city never reaches even half of its planned capacity. A partially inhabited white elephant. History is full of mega-projects that failed. Naypyidaw in Myanmar is practically deserted. Ordos in China was designed for 1 million inhabitants and has only 100,000. Brasilia took 30 years to truly function. But it is also full of bets that paid off. Dubai was desert 50 years ago. Singapore was swamp. Shenzhen was a fishing village. The difference: realistic planning, available resources, and above all, genuine reasons for people to want to be there. The new administrative capital of Egypt has impressive buildings, monumental avenues, and ambition to spare. But will it have people? In the middle of the Egyptian desert, a city rises, 40% completed, 20% occupied, 100% controversial. Inhabited palaces, deserted avenues, grand promises, complicated reality. When you build a $58 billion capital that almost no one asked for in a country that can barely afford it, you are not just building buildings. You are gambling with the future of an entire nation. And that gamble is still being played. Would you be able to live in a city built to separate power from the people? Leave your opinion in the comments. Do you think this city will work or become the largest ghost city in the world? Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next videos about the most insane mega projects on the planet.